Alright, so we're here in Redmond, Oregon, near Bend. We're at my friend Donna's house. We're going to be putting a garden in probably over there. It's about to get to work, and the first order of business is to take the shell off my truck and empty everything out so we can move materials around. So let's do it. Alright, so what we're going to do in this garden is we're going to build sort of like a hugelkultur bed, although not a mound. We'll keep it low, so we need some wood to make the hugelkultur. So we went on Craigslist free section, found this pile here, looks like willow, so we're going to load that up. Alright, so we got our first task accomplished. What we're going to do with this garden is make it into sort of a hugelkultur. Not a mound like we're doing out in Montana, but more of a low bed. Since there's such little water out here, we don't want to make too high of raised beds. We want to get down low where the water is. But we're going to do the hugelkultur, sort of hugel bed things, to try to hold on to some of that water throughout the dry season. So you can see my truck back there. We just loaded up a whole bunch of, I think it's a cottonwood. It's dead trees somebody's getting rid of. Free section on Craigslist. Always a good resource for free materials. And I'll get some organic matter into this bed. Wood will be actually like below grade, so we'll dig trenches and put the wood in there and then cover it back up with the grass that we take up and then more dirt. We actually have really good soil here, so I don't think we need to get more, maybe just a couple yards of compost to cover it. Alright, so we just talked to my friend Donna as a client. Told her about what the idea is. We already did kind of a client interview and a walkthrough when I was here a few months ago. So we had talked a lot about this previously, but they just want a annual garden, somewhere to grow veggies. Who wants to get back into gardening. We're doing it here in the front yard because the backyard, they've got a bunch of dogs, so the dogs would likely rip up any veggie garden that was in the ground, and it's mostly concrete porch area back there, so they could do some container stuff back there, but gardening in the ground is a lot easier. So we're in the front yard here in this corner. She was thinking about doing it back here, but this is the north side of the house. This isn't going to get much sun at all in the early morning or late afternoon, and so we kind of move that forward into this area. You can maybe see the sticks are in the ground here. And what we're going to do, we said we got that pile of wood for the hugel beds. We're going to collect the water off this roof. We got a very large area roof. See, this gutter's maybe 40-50 feet long. Large area roof up there, all coming out right here. And so we're going to dig a path that snakes around in between these beds, which you might be able to see marked out with not chalk but just flour. And so the paths are going to direct the water from this downspout around the beds, and then the beds themselves, we're actually going to dig a trench that's deeper than the paths to lay the wood into, fill that back in, and so the water will flow off the paths into that trench underground and soak into that wood, and then we'll have very low raised beds. Kind of got a sort of horseshoe shape right here, come around, a little keyhole in the middle, and then we've got another crescent that comes back along this fence and then back over to where the downspout is. Catch a little bit of that sun, sort of a sun scoop shape. Get some nice edge in there. I don't want to just make some square boxes. The more edge the better. So we're going to get started working on this. First step is to scrape up this grass. We got the first bed dug out so you can see the shape of it a little bit better. I realize I'm going to need a lot more wood to finish out these beds than what we've got over there, so we're going to go back over to the guy's house we got this from and help him cut down the rest of that tree and bring it on over. Okay. Alright, so we needed to get more wood for the hugel beds, and so we went back over to this guy Mike's house he had the tree still standing. We were willing to go cut it down to get the wood, you know. Just thought we were going over there to get some free materials, and he was so happy that we had done that work and cut the tree down for him that he wanted to pay us. But I asked him if we could have that wheelbarrow or buy it off of him. First he wanted to let us borrow it, and then he's just like, you know what, just take the wheelbarrow. So not only did we help a guy out, not only did we get wood for our hugel beds, but we got a wheelbarrow too. Works out for everybody. That's the power of trade and connecting with your community, even if it's through Craigslist free section. It's that's a huge resource. People in your community, we all have extra stuff that we don't need and extra time and different interests, One man's trash is another man's treasure, so that's just one more instance of that. So I'm super psyched on that little interaction there. Alright, day 2 here on the project. First thing that I do is finish digging out these beds. I love removing lawns, one of my favorite things to do. Much better use of water to grow food than to just grow grass, so I'm gonna get on that. Okay, so we got the rest of the beds dug out. Got the sod removed so you can kind of see the shape that these are gonna be. They both kind of open up towards the morning sun. It's going to come up over there, and hopefully get these beds warm up pretty quick so that they can produce well. We got our big pile of sod back here, mountain. I can see how people used to build houses out of this. Might even be able to do this out at the lab. We got some pretty good sod there with the kinnikinnick ground cover and some of the grasses. But we're going to throw all out of that. It's going to go back on the bed. So the next challenge is to figure out how to lay all this wood in here and dig these out without having to move the dirt around too much. So I think I got some ideas on that. But first, we got my truck emptied out, got all those logs out of it from yesterday, and we're going to go pick up some rocks for lining these beds. So that's bound to be a lot of fun, picking up rocks and throwing them in the truck. So let's go do that. So Craigslist free section strikes again. We got way more rocks than we need here, so probably fill up the truck a couple times, make a couple trips. Yeah, this is cool. I guess the farmers take all these out of their fields. This is just like a horse farm. But these are everywhere. We're running into these when we dig under the ground in the front yard too. So we loaded up the truck. I think that's about all it can handle. It's 3/4 ton, but rocks are pretty heavy, so we'll have to make multiple trips for sure. The horse is very curious what we're doing.
Hey buddy. How are you doing? How are you doing? Hi.
Alright, we got back from collecting rocks. We're getting ready to start building up these beds. So what we're going to do here is I've dug down this little section where the wood's at as far as I could get. I'd like to go deeper, but you run into a layer of these rocks, which are everywhere around here. That's why we've got a whole pile of rocks over there too. But I'm going to dig down section by section, put the wood in there, and then use the dirt from here, dig that out and put it back on top of these. You don't want to just pile up a bunch of wood and then throw dirt on top of it. You want to kind of layer it because you want to have as much contact between the soil and the wood as possible to get that decomposition started and get the wood rotting. So we're going to throw some dirt in here, put a few more of these little sticks on top, and then cover with some of that sod over there. So let's do that. Alright, it's the middle of the day. It's getting really hot, still working, but we almost got this whole back bed done here. I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of the layering that we're doing. So you can see we got the trench, and that's filled with the bigger pieces, the logs, and then we got dirt on top of that, and then a layer of the smaller sticks, and then we're taking the sod and we're putting that upside down on top of the sticks and kind of squishing it in there. And so that all that green matter and root mass from the grass, that nitrogen will help break down the carbon in all those sticks and start off the kind of composting process. So hugelkultur is kind of like a very slow compost pile in place, but it will take years to fully compost. But in the meantime, you get lots of fertility in your garden and water storage capacity. So we're going to put more stuff on top of here later, but we're going to finish out this bed right here first. So we moved on to the second bed here, the little horseshoe, and we're starting to run out of sticks, even though we got so much, but it takes a lot of wood. So this bed we're using smaller pieces. We don't have any more of those big chunks, so a little bit less water holding capacity in this one, but we'll make it a little bit lower than that one, I think, which might look good, and make do with what we got. So I'm gonna keep working on this one and get these beds finished. So we actually ran out of even smaller sticks before this was finished here, so we're gonna throw these little pile of sticks in here and then finish this bed off with just the rest of the sod, because we seem to have an extra amount of sod. And if you want to do this and replace your lawn with a garden, you don't actually need the wood. If it's going to take a lot of energy to go get wood, it might not be worth it, the amount of energy expended for what you get out of it. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't want to take another trip to get just a little bit of wood. So you can do it with just the grass, and the grass rotting under the ground, just the sod, all that root mass. It'll give you a little bit of that effect, but also just give you a lot of fertility. All that organic matter, all the nutrients that are in the grass and those roots will become soil for your garden. So we're going to finish off this little corner here with just the sod, and it'll be interesting to see how it affects the way the plants grow. Okay, so we got our beds piled up and shaped out. Looking here, it's the final shape of what they're going to be. So the next step is we got to carve out, I guess you could call it a swale, sort of on contour, but I'd like to call it like an infiltration basin, so that all the water coming off of that downspout over there will flood out on an even surface, flat and level, all around these beds here. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to start down here. This is our low point. You're going to see it slopes down from the house. And so we'll start scraping the sod and the path up right here at our low point and level it out as we go. We want to start at the low point because we start up high. If we don't scrape deep enough, we'll get to that low point and we'll be above ground. With our level, we'll have to go back and re-level everything. So we're going to start over here, work our way towards the spout, and get us a nice level, even infiltration basin. Alright, so I've kind of roughed out our little infiltration basin here, just with my regular carpenter's level over there. And now we're going to check it a little bit more accurately with this thing. It's called a water level. Really old tool. Basically it's just a piece of clear tubing with some water in it. I've got it attached to some yardsticks just for easy reference. You can just use regular sticks with the marks on them. But see, the water level here is at about 21 inches on mine. What are you at over there, Ben?
21 and a half.
20 and a half? Yeah. Okay, so that means we're within a half-inch of level on this swale, which is pretty good. See, what do you got right now?
20 and a half.
20 and a half, so yeah, I'm about right there too. So that's good. It means our swale is level from that point to this point, and we can check along the rest of the path with this and make sure it's all level. Okay, so we got our path all leveled out, our infiltration basin here. So like I said before, it's completely level all the way across, so that water coming off of there will spread out and soak in. What it did do is make this spot here, this little keyhole, a little bit lower, so that this will fill up and kind of hold a reservoir of water which will soak into this bed here. And then in the event of a big rainstorm, and this fills to capacity, it's important when you're collecting water to plan for those big rain events. So this, like I said before, is the lowest point. So as this basin fills up with water, it starts to overflow. It's going to overflow right here on this nice level grass area. And it's going to be going really slow. You want your water to move as slow as possible. And because it's on a level surface, it's not going to be rushing. It'll just be creeping along. That way it won't cause erosion. Really worked out well the way that this lawn slopes away from the house. So the next thing we need to do is build some rock walls, like this one we got started here. Ben built that one back there. We're gonna build those along all the edges of these beds. It's not completely necessary to line these beds. You don't gotta do it with rocks. You can do it with wood or whatever you choose to line them. But they will hold up on themselves if you plant them up right away. The veggies will just grow on these slopes. But we're gonna do the rocks just for visual appeal, since we are in the front yard, and it'll help hold that back and make it look really nice. I like the way it looks. The dog likes it too. It's Gizmo. Hi, Gizmo.
He approves.
Checking it out. The inspector is here.
All right, end of the day. Day 2 working on this lawn to garden project here. We got a lot done today. That's most of the work done. We got some cleaning up to do tomorrow. We're gonna lay those rock walls in. Might have to go get more rocks. We got that pile over there left, but there's a lot of edge over there, so it's gonna take a lot of rocks. So as you can see behind me here, we've laid down cardboard on those paths, and there's a couple of reasons for that. For one, the cardboard acts as a real good weed barrier, so we won't get grass or other things growing up in the paths. Keep it looking nice. I also think it'll probably help direct water into the beds a little bit better, since it's sort of impermeable until it gets soaked. So we're going to put that down. We're going to put the rock wall on top of that. It'll hold the cardboard down. I've got the sprinklers going right now to just wet that cardboard down, keep it from blowing away. Helps it lay flat too. So yeah, we're going to build those rock walls tomorrow, get some mulch, get some compost, and finish this off. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. Good morning. Back out here on the project. Ben was a madman. He woke up early today and built this whole section of wall right here. So that's the main project for this morning, is to build up that wall. Probably gonna have to go get more rocks, because you see the pile's getting kind of thin as far as big ones go. But do that, and then get some compost and mulch and finish off this project. Alright, so we realized we need to go get more rocks sooner rather than later. Because I've run into this problem before when building a wall like this. Is you pick through your pile for all the big ones, you know, to set around your base here, and you just end up with a bunch of little ones in your pile, and then wherever you're finishing the wall, you just end up with a wall made of a bunch of little rocks. So we want to avoid that. We're going to go pick up a bunch of big rocks. We'll set those along the bottom here, along the base of the wall, so it's got a nice even base. The wall looks a little better, and then we can fit the small ones in where they fit in, and the wall look more uniform. So we're going to go back over to the horse farm and throw some more rocks. Alright, so we got more rocks, a bunch of big ones. Hopefully enough to finish this wall here. We're getting a little bit crunched on time. We can go get some compost and some mulch maybe. So the compost place closes at 3, so I got to get over there. So I'm going to let Ben continue what he's doing here. He's doing a really good job building this wall. And go grab the compost, come back and put it on these beds. Alright, so just went to the compost mulch yard. We got a yard and a half of compost. I'm just going to top dress these beds with it. Try to get that soil biology kicked off and get a good growing medium for the vegetables. One thing about buying compost, you know, ideally I'd create my own, but I don't have 3 weeks to make compost here. You gotta be really careful about where you buy your compost from. When I talked to the guy here, all this compost comes from forest products. There's no animal manures in it. A lot of his stuff is certified organic. So that's good, because what happens is a lot of times farmers that are making animal feed, like making hay, they'll spray pesticides all over their fields because, or not pesticides, sorry, herbicides, and trying to get rid of the broadleafs, all the weeds, so that they have a nice clean grass hay to sell, a high quality feed. And then what happens is they feed that to dairy cows or horses, and those herbicides don't get broken down in the animal system. They're called persistent herbicides. And even after that manure is composted, those herbicides can still be present. And so you put that herbicide-ridden compost into your garden, it's going to kill all your broadleaves, which is pretty much everything you're growing in your garden. So there's a lot of stories. There's a good thread out on Permies.com about somebody who got a bunch of compost, redid their whole gardens, and then all their plants started just shriveling, really weird. And it's because of those persistent herbicides. So you got to be really careful about where you get your compost from, where you get your organic material from. There are some good places. You just got to do your research. So I have a good feeling about this stuff. It looks good, smells good. You can tell it's broken down pretty much all the way. Good looking compost. And so that'll be a good kickstart to get the rest of this this organic matter here, this grass and this wood, to start breaking down and get good soil for this garden. So I'm going to move it all, shovel it all over there. So another good free section Craigslist find. Went up and picked up this whole load of real fine pea gravel, and we're going to use that in the paths here. Normally pea gravel is not like the most economic or environmentally friendly material, just because all the energy that goes into mining it and moving it around. It's really heavy. You know, I can only fit that much in my truck, and it's probably overloaded. But this is free. It's already been used. It's in somebody's backyard, so that's one less thing I have to buy for the project. I was gonna buy a bark mulch, but you know, this is free. And it's always good to use free materials whenever you can. Reusing, recycling, you know, all that. But while I was gone, Ben was rocking it on these rock walls. So I got it most of the way done. There's a little gap over here, and it looks like we're gonna have to get one more load of rocks. Let's get some bigger ones so we can fill this in. And we're almost done, so we'll get back. Alright, so we got all the gravel spread out, and Ben finished up the wall. We actually didn't have to go get more rocks after a while. We ended up with a little bit of extra, the small ones, and finished out with what we had. But ready for the big reveal. Here it is. It turned out looking really, really nice. So this is going to provide a lot of space for the people who live here to grow some veggies. For the first year or so, it's probably going to have to be irrigated to get everything to start breaking down. There's also, you know, their main goal here, or one of their future goals, is to get rid of the rest of their lawn here, because they recognize that a lawn is not appropriate for this climate. Only 6 inches of rain a year. But for now, the grass is here. They want it to stay green. So what's nice is we already have a sprinkler system set up. There's a sprinkler head right there, another one over there, a few more out there, and they'll all hit the garden just like they used to hit the lawn. So I'm going to spread some red clover seed out on this compost here. Hopefully get some organic straw to mulch it a little bit, and get that to grow over the fall and into this winter, and get that soil biology started up, get the structure of the soil started to build, so that next springtime they can plant into it and have a nice productive garden. I'm hoping over the next few years, as these beds break down, and they will sink a little bit, 6 inches to a foot depending, as everything settles and starts to rot. I'm hoping they'll use less and less water. Maybe just need to irrigate to get things started on the surface, and then once plants are started and there's water stored underneath, they're going to send their roots down there to go find it. And one of the good things about having a hugelkultur garden, one that you don't water so much, one that gets water, you know, sporadically throughout the year, is the plants will actually taste better if you water them less. Some of the best tomatoes I've ever had were ones that were planted just in a field at one of our jumps, and we'd water them occasionally with what we could carry down there, which wasn't much, but they're the sweetest, most flavorful tomatoes ever because they're not just watered down. And that happens with most vegetables. They get more nutritious, more flavorful, and it's easier. You don't have to irrigate. So I'm really happy with how this turned out, and hope you guys enjoyed watching. Hope you enjoyed the little journey with us, me and Ben. It was a couple days of work, two and a half maybe. A lot of trips in the truck, but you know, the only thing I had to buy for this really was a yard and a half of compost, It's about 40 bucks, 45, maybe 20 bucks worth of gas. And that was it. The rest is all just found materials, materials we got by helping out other people who need to get rid of them. So there's lots of opportunities for stuff like that, lots of recyclable materials around, especially in the cities. So check it out. Don't be afraid to look on your Craigslist free section. It's a gold mine. So the last thing I'm going to do on this garden here is I've got a mix of cover crop seeds. I made a mix in here. This is mostly red clover. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. A lot of red clover in there from the stuff I bought in Portland. And then I've got this cover crop mix. I just bought it at a farm to garden store, or farm supply. Non-GMO seeds. That's a mix of, what we got? Sorry, I can't see that. Tried to kale, walking oats, winter peas, common vetch, ryegrass, and more crimson clover. So we'll just spread that over these beds and turn the sprinklers on for a little while. Get them set in there so we can start get some soil building in here. All those roots from all those different vegetables, or I guess cover crops, not vegetables. All those roots will go down, start getting into that sod, start getting into that wood, start building those channels and those pathways for water and nutrients to travel upon. So I'll spread all that over there. The sprinklers, like I said, they're going on twice a day already just to keep the grass green. So kind of just take advantage of that. They hit the garden already. That'll help get all that stuff established and grow into the winter here. We'll probably die off in the winter and leave a nice healthy bed of soil for the springtime when we come back and plant it.